My neighbor thinks that he can play games with me. I'm used to a quiet, relaxing environment, and now I have to deal with this jerk. Well, if he wants a little petty game of revenge war, I will be the best general that's ever walked the battlefield.
Hey, internet strangers. I've got a weird one for you. I'm a 36-year-old guy, and if you could imagine someone whose idea of a wild night is debating Star Wars versus Star Trek over a bowl of chips and nachos and a can of Dr. Pepper, that's me. Yeah, grade A nerd. Well, here's my situation. 2 years ago, I moved into a quiet suburban neighborhood. Picture perfect, right? Little gardens, a close-knit community, kids riding their bikes on the sidewalk, and me, occasionally wearing my graphic tees of obscure anime characters. I thought this would be my little oasis from the hustle and bustle of the city. Then there's Gary. Gary lives directly across the street from me. From the get-go, I sensed that he had some sort of issue with me. Our first interaction was him pointing out that my lawn was not up to the neighborhood standards. Mind you, it was a little wild, but we're talking daisies and not the Amazon rainforest. No big deal, right? I thought, new place, maybe he's just a stickler for the sort of thing and rules, and so I mowed my lawn, put up a nice little birdhouse, and even planted some roses. Community effort, right? But it did not stop there. Gary seemed to have made it a personal vendetta to be my daily headache. For instance, when I got a delivery, rare action figures, mint condition from Japan, Gary had to voice his opinion. He came over, tapped on the package and said, "Another toy, huh? When are you going to grow up?" "Excuse me, but these are collectibles. Thank you very much." Then there was the incident with my car. I drive an old-school, slightly rusty but utterly lovable station wagon. It's my baby. A remnant from college days, I guess. Well, Gary did not appreciate the vintage beauty parked on the street, so one morning I found a note on the windshield that read, "Ever heard of a car wash, geek?" Rude. Plain rude. But the real kicker? The cats. I'm a proud cat dad. 3 fluff balls, Luke, Layla, and Vader. They're indoor cats, but sometimes when the weather's right, I let them roam in the fenced yard for some fresh air. Cue Gary's unsolicited advice. "Those animals will ruin your lawn, ugh." Watching me play with them one sunny afternoon, not very manly pets, are they? Now, I've been patient. I tried engaging in small talk, even inviting him over for game night. Big mistake, never again. I thought maybe he's just an old-fashioned guy and doesn't get my vibe. It's been 2 years, though, and it's only getting worse nowadays. I've tried my best to keep my calm, but I'm nearing the end of my rope. My friends say I should have confronted him ages ago. Anyways, let me know what you would do in the comments downstairs. Update number 1. Okay, so remember my neighbor Gary, the one who's been making my life a living nerdy hell? Yeah, well, things just went from bad to downright infuriating. Let me give you the rundown. A couple weeks ago, I decided to host a movie night in my backyard. I borrowed a projector from my buddy, set up some cozy blankets and pillows, and invited some of my closest friends over. We were planning to watch the original Star Wars trilogy, my personal comfort movies. Halfway through A New Hope, when the Death Star was about to do its thing, the movie stopped. My projector had lost power, and that's when noticed Gary, standing by the fence with a cheeky grin on his face and my extension cord in his hand. Yeah, that scoundrel unplugged my projector. "Oh, sorry. Thought it was one of my cords and it got mixed up. Old age." Well, I was livid, but I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. After all, I was surrounded by friends, and I did not want to cause a scene. I plugged it back in, and after some fiddling, the movie resumed. My friends tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but the evening was kind of ruined for me. But it doesn't end there. I've been working on a personal project in my garage for the past couple of months now. It's a custom arcade cabinet, merging different games from my youth. It's a real labor of love. It was my refuge, my sanctuary, a place to relax, and I never thought Gary could invade the sacred space that I built, but Gary, being Gary, he found a way. I came home from work one day to find my garage door open. Now, I'm certain that I closed it. Inside, I found muddy footprints, and guess what? My arcade cabinet vandalized. Not destroyed, no, just tampered with. Somebody had scribbled childish drawings in Geek Zone and permanent marker on its side. My heart sank, and it felt a little personal of a violation. Now, I had no proof, obviously, that it was Gary, but come on, who else in our friendly neighborhood would do such a thing? I knocked on his door, intending to confront him, but I chickened out when he didn't answer. Instead, I left a note asking if he saw anything, but do you know his response? A sarcastic note left on my porch the next morning that read, "Maybe one of your action figures did it. They can be quite rebellious. Have you seen Toy Story?" My blood boiled. Every interaction, every sarcastic remark, every childish prank, it all came crashing down. I wanted to retaliate, to give him a taste of his own medicine. My friends told me to go to the police, or at least get some cameras installed, and yeah, I'm considering both, but I'm also tired. Tired of his antics, tired of feeling like a punching bag in my own home. I'm seriously thinking about selling my place and moving, but then again, that's letting him win, isn't it? What should I do next? Update number 2. Well, friends, it finally happened. I snapped. Now, before you rush to judgment, hear me out. Everybody has a breaking point, and after years of enduring Gary's antics, mine had been reached. Here's how it went down. 2 weeks after the whole garage fiasco, I noticed that Gary's house was unusually quiet. His garden was untouched, his windows had not changed and opened, and there was a suspicious accumulation of newspapers on his doorstep. A little birdie, a.k.a. Miss Thompson, the neighborhood's lovely, albeit gossip-hungry elderly lady, informed me that Gary was out of town for a few days. A vacation, she assumed. Now, I'd never be one for, revenge. I've always believed in turning the other cheek, being the bigger person, and all that Jedi wisdom stuff, but this felt like such a golden opportunity, a sign from the universe above, and I figured, why not let Gary have a taste of his own medicine just this once? The idea came to me when I was returning from the grocery store. There, wandering near the dumpster, was a big, scruffy-looking stray dog. It looked harmless, probably a little hungry, and seemed friendly enough when I approached it. Then a devilish idea struck me. What if I let this furry wanderer have a mini vacation in Gary's pristine home? You know, a harmless prank, right? After all, it's just for a few days. Equipped with my lock-picking set, don't ask, it's from my brief phase in my 20s, I managed to gain entry to Gary's house side door. I led the stray inside, leaving a bowl of water and some dog food, and of course I left behind a few little treats. I thought maybe I'd just roam around a bit, maybe leave some fur on Gary's oh-so-perfect couch or play in his manicured garden. I made sure to lock up after and went home, feeling a mix of exhilaration and honestly a bit of, guilt. What had I done? Was I turning to the dark side? The days that followed were some of the most anxiety-ridden of my life. Every siren made me jump, thinking the police were coming for me. Every knock had me wondering if it was a neighbor who'd seen something. But nothing happened until, Gary returned. The spectacle was something straight out of a sitcom. I was sipping on my morning cup of coffee when I heard a loud, very un-Gary-like shriek. Curious, I peeped through my curtains just in time to see Gary standing in his doorway, staring in horror at the chaos within. The stray, bless his heart, had not only left fur everywhere, but also had a field day with Gary's furniture. Chewed up papers, pillows. Let's not talk about the bathroom situation. Gary was livid. He storms out of his house, his gaze darting around the neighborhood, searching for any sign of the perpetrator. Our eyes met for a brief second, and in that moment I swear I saw a hint of understanding in his eyes. Did he know it was me? I couldn't tell. That evening I found a note in my mailbox, and it read, I quote, "2 can play at this game." The writing was shaky, almost frantic, quite different from his usual taunts. So, there you have it. I finally got my revenge, but at what cost? I can't help but feel like I've awakened a sleeping dragon. What should I expect next? Final update. It's been a wild one, guys. If you've been following my drama with Gary throughout, you would know how our little war escalated. From snide comments to my grand prank with the stray dog, it's been a series of up and downs. But today, I bring you the final chapter. After the dog incident, Gary was on a warpath. I could feel his burning gaze every time our paths crossed. A silent promise of retaliation, and boy did he try. It started with minor inconveniences. My newspaper would mysteriously vanish each morning. My plans had an uncanny tendency to topple over, but I was prepared. For seeing his revenge, I had installed security cameras around the property. One evening, while I was out grabbing a burger with a buddy, I got a notification on my phone. Motion has been detected at the front door. Curious, I tapped on the little live feed, and lo and behold, Gary, armed with a baseball bat, he was about to take a swing at my mailbox. While I was livid, all of our previous encounters as frustrating as they were, had a certain childishness to them, but this was downright malicious, so I called the cops. By the time I got home, 2 officers were already on the scene, with Gary in cuffs. He was fuming, yelling about how I had started it all and how he was just defending his honor. Seeing him in that state, something inside me twisted. The next day, the news spread like wildfire. Everybody in the neighborhood knew. Gary was arrested for property damage, all because of our little feud. Some neighbors looked at me with sympathy, others with disapproval. Miss Thompson. Ever the gossiper was having a field day. As the days turned to weeks, I grappled with my feelings, and yes, Gary had been a nuisance from day one. But seeing him in that vulnerable state, being hauled away, made me question my actions. Should I have just let the mailbox incident go? After all, it was just a piece of metal. But then a part of me argued back. All these years, Gary had been the aggressor. He had taunted and teased and made me life a bit miserable. I was the victim here, right? So why did I feel like the villain in my own story? Gary eventually got out, community service and a fine, and our interactions have been minimal. A nod here, a nod there, a passing glance, but the tension is in the air. He's still the same old Gary, but with a hint of caution. He knows I won't back down anymore, so here's where I need your judgment. Am I the a-hole for taking things this far? On one hand, I'm justified. He damaged my property and the law took its course. But on the other, I feel like the a-hole. Comment number 1. Just finished the story, and I can't help but wonder whatever happened to the poor stray dog. Being trapped in a house alone for days without anyone, that's cruel. OP, seriously, there were 1,000 ways to retaliate, but using an innocent animal? Major a-hole move. Hope the dog found a better home and did not suffer any consequence for your so-called prank. Comment number 2. Honestly, everybody sucks here. OP, while I get being fed up with Gary, you stooping down to his level did not make the situation any better. It's just a bad look overall, and Gary for obvious reasons, and you for not finding a mature way to handle it. Both of you need to grow up. Final comment. I get wanting to retaliate, OP, especially after dealing with a neighbor like Gary, but using a stray animal, come on! The worst part? We don't even know what happened to the dog after the whole episode. Should have thought this through more. Sorry to say, you're the a-hole.
As I do agree with most of the commenters, I do not believe using a stray animal was the best form of revenge or retribution or karma that OP could have thought of. But it makes me wonder, guys, what would you have done? Can you think of a better form of revenge besides using a poor stray puppy? Let me know your thoughts. Drop it downstairs in our comment section. Maybe you have had a neighbor dispute and you've had to handle it yourself. What'd you do? We still have another story we're going to cover today, and it is an Am I the A-hole story with the title saying this. Am I the a-hole for orchestrating a public prank on the girl who flaunted her closeness with my boyfriend?
Okay, so hear me out. I know the title sounds bad, but there's more to this. I'm 17-year-old senior in high school, and I've been dating Ryan for like a year and a half now. When we started dating, things were like a fairy tale. I swear it felt like one of those cheesy high school romantic movies. But lately, things have been off. Like, way off. Firstly, Ryan's been super secretive with his phone. I mean, sure, everybody deserves their privacy and all, but he's taking it to a whole new level. There was this one time at lunch when his phone buzzed, and I glanced over and he literally flipped his phone face down super fast and kinda gave me this weird nervous laugh like, dude, chill. It's not a big deal, but it got me thinking, why is he so jumpy? Then there's Jessica. Ugh, Jessica. I've never liked her, but she and Ryan have a couple of classes together and are, quote, just friends. Ugh, I've noticed them whispering and laughing together in the hallways more than a few times. Like, she would touch his arm and they'd share an inside joke or whatever. It low-key made my blood boil. Oh, and there was that day when I spotted them at the Sweet Brew, the coffee place near our school. I was with my bestie, Sarah, and we were about to enter when I saw them. They were sitting in the back with 2 cozy mugs, talking and laughing, and I felt like I've been punched in the gut. I did not confront them. I just kinda slunk away and vented to Sarah. She thinks I'm overreacting, but I can't help but feel there's something going on. The other night, Ryan and I were at his place watching a movie. I needed to order some food, so I asked to borrow his phone since mine was dead. You guys, his reaction? He looked like he saw a ghost. He stuttered out some excuse about not having a battery, but I could see his screen light up from the corner of my eye. Major red flag. And then there's the perfume thing. I've been noticing this faint scent on him. Not a cologne, but definitely a feminine smell. He told me it's probably his mom or sister, but I ain't buying it. I've been to his place so many times, and I've never smelled that scent before. I have a nose for these things. I've tried talking to him about all this. I did. I sat him down a few days ago and told him how I felt, and he just brushed it off and said, I was being paranoid and overthinking. But there's this gut feeling I can't shake off. So, the other night when he went to the bathroom, I did something I'm not proud of. I picked up his phone, and I tried to unlock it. I know it's wrong, I do, but I just had to know. I could not unlock it. But just as I was putting it down, a notification popped up from Jessica, and it read, missed you a lot today, heart emoji. I'm freaking out. I didn't, tell him what I did, and I have not confronted him about the message. I need advice. I don't know what to do, guys. Update number 1. So here I am 2 weeks later, and honestly, things have gone from bad to worse. If you thought the last update was dramatic, just wait. Okay, so I tried to be all mature and put some space between, me and Ryan. Maybe I was being paranoid, right? But then this insane thing happened at school that has me reeling. It was last Friday. You know how schools sometimes have these pop-up fair events? Well, our school decided to hold a spring art showcase. I know, super original, right? Everybody was encouraged to submit their own artwork. Writings, photos, you name it. It was kinda cute, and I was having fun looking at everything with Sarah. But then we stumbled upon this one section where they showcased a bunch of photographs. And guess whose work was there? Jessica's. So apparently she's like into photography now. News to me. Anyways, most of her photos were meh. But one of them froze me in my tracks. It was a picture of Ryan. And not just any picture, it was super intimate. He was at what looked like a bedroom, and definitely not his, not mine. His shirt half unbuttoned, and he had this soft, dreamy look in his eyes. It felt private, intimate, like something meant just for Jessica. Underneath the photo, there was a caption that read, "Captured moments, when the heart speaks." Like, what the actual heck? Sarah noticed my shock and she tried to play it down, saying maybe it's just a random photo and that I should not read too much into it. But the whole thing felt so personal. It gnawed at me for the rest of the day. I had a million questions. When was this taken? Why was he so comfy in front of her? What's the dreamy look? And seriously, what's up with the caption? Anyways, Later that day, I bumped into Jessica in the restroom, and I tried to act all casual and ask her about her photos. She had this smug look in her eyes and said that photography was her way of capturing raw, real emotions. Well, I casually just went ahead to mention Ryan's picture and asked where it was taken, and y'all, she freaking smirked at me and said, "Oh, that. It was just a spontaneous moment at my place. Ryan's so photogenic, don't you think?" I was fuming, but tried to hold it together. I thanked her for her time, told her her work was interesting, and bolted out the door. But my mind was racing. I have not told Ryan I saw the photo. I've been distant, trying to figure out how to bring it up, like maybe there's an innocent explanation. Maybe they were just hanging out and she took a random snap. But the setting, the look in his eyes, that stupid caption, it all felt so wrong. And the worst part, he's still texting Jessica. I can hear his phone buzz late at night, and I just know it's her. Sarah keeps telling me to confront him. She says I deserve clarity, and he's doing something shady. Then I need to know. But I'm scared. Scared of what the truth might actually be. Scared of losing him. Scared of being played for a fool. I know I can't keep this up much longer. I have to talk to him. Am I wrong for holding on to hope? Please help. Update number 2. Oh my goodness. You will not believe this past week, I finally confronted Ryan. And let's just say things did not go as I hoped. So, I decided that enough was enough, right? I had to talk to him. We met up at our usual spot, this park near the school, and the atmosphere was so tense. He looked like he knew something was up, and I mustered all the courage I had and just straight up showed him the picture of him at the art show on my phone. His face? Priceless. Like a deer caught in some headlights. I asked him what the dealio was and why he was in Jessica's room, looking all cozy and dreamy, and oh my gosh, his excuse was like of some bad rom-com. He said that they were working on a school project and that she's taking a photography class, and asked if he could model for her because she thought that he had the look. And this particular picture, apparently she said it was just to capture candid moments. I mean, come on. I wasn't born yesterday, and even if that was the case, why didn't he tell me about it? Ryan kept on saying that nothing is going on between them and that I was blowing things out of proportion, of course. He said he values our relationship too much to risk it over something silly, but the trust is gone. In the heat of the moment, I told him maybe we need some space to figure things out, and to my shock, he agreed. So yeah, we're on a break now, but not like a Ross and Rachel type break, more like I need to figure out if I can trust you kind of break. Now on to Jessica. Ugh, I'm so mad at her. Even if Ryan was being honest, and that's a big if, she had no right to drag him into the drama, and the smirk she gave me in the restroom, it's like she wanted me to know, wanted me to feel hurt. Sarah's been super supportive. She's been my rock throughout this mess, and the other day, while we were venting over some ice cream, she hinted that maybe we could, quote, give Jessica a taste of her own medicine. I didn't agree to anything, but I didn't say no either. The wheels are definitely turning in my head. I know revenge is not usually the right answer. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but honestly, it feels good to even think about getting back at her. For everything she's put me through, of course. For the sleepless nights, for the tears, for the heartbreak, I'm just so angry and hurt. And I don't know what to do with these feelings. Part of me wants to just move on. Focus on school, college applications. But another part of me, the hurt part, wants some justice. Wants to make sure Jessica knows not to mess with other people's relationships. Update number 3. This is the final update of the story. Hey everybody. Wow, it's been a wave here. These past couple of weeks, well, get ready, because this is a juicy update y'all have been waiting for. Ryan and I, we've been talking. A lot. But trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. He's been apologetic, saying he never realized how it looked from the outside, and how he would never risk what we had for somebody like Jessica. And while part of me wants to believe him, Another part keeps going back to the damn photo. But let's get to the main event, right? Jessica, after the smirk in the restroom, my blood has been boiling every time I see, think, and look at her. Sarah and I brainstormed a lot, and while there was some wild revenge ideas, we decided on something that was perfectly mixed of petty and public. Our school has this annual picnic day where everybody just hangs out at the school field. Music, food stalls, games, prizes, you know. There's this one super popular game called the Blindfold Taste Challenge. Basically, volunteers get blindfolded and have to guess the food they're eating. The catch? Some of the food items can be pretty gross. Jessica, being the attention seeker that she is, volunteered, of course, just like she did last year. Sarah and I saw our golden opportunity. We bribed the guy running the stall to add a special ingredient for Jessica. A mixture of salt, wasabi, and a hint of sour candy. Harmless but super disgusting. When it was Jessica's turn, the crowd was so hyped up she was being all dramatic, waving on the crowd like she's at the Super Bowl, pretending to be this super taster or something. Then the moment arrived. She took a big bite of our special concoction, and her reaction? Priceless. She spat it out and, well, gagging, and her eyes were watering even before she could rip off the blindfold. The crowd went wild, some laughing, some shocked, and me, I played it cool, but the satisfaction was undeniable. I had no regrets. It felt good seeing her take down, well, to her own level, especially after all she put me through. Fast forward to now. Ryan heard about the prank and said it's childish, but he could not hide his smirk. I think deep down he knows that she had it coming. He's been trying to mend things with me, and while I appreciate the effort, I'm not sure where we stand. We're graduating soon, and with college just over the horizon, who knows? But one thing's for sure, that prank is going to be legendary in our school for years to come. So, am I the a-hole for serving Jessica a taste of her own medicine? I might have lost some trust in Ryan, but I definitely found my backbone. Whatever happens next, I know I'll be okay. Comments from the post. Comment number 1. Honestly, I don't think what you did was that bad. If Jessica was getting all up in your relationship, she kind of asked for it. It was just wasabi. People need to learn boundaries, and if they mess with someone else's relationship, they should expect some pushback, not the a-hole OP. Sometimes a small revenge is just the universe's way of balancing things out. Karma. Comment 2. Well, Jessica's actions, yeah, suspect. It feels like your energy should have been more focused, however, on your boyfriend's behavior. After all, it takes two to tango, right? Trust is a two-way street. You should have addressed the main issue instead of sidetracking with revenge. Sorry, but you're the a-hole in this one, and your boyfriend's getting away with so much. You should have just left it all alone.
As I believe this form of revenge in the final story of the day, it was harmless. Yeah, it might have been petty, but it was just a little wasabi sauce and some salt. It wasn't the end of the world, so in my opinion, I agree with most of the other commenters. OP, you are not the a-hole. Guys, if you are new to the channel, this is Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel, where every single story has some sort of sweet taste of revenge. If you want daily revenge stories, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Be safe, be cool, and remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.